What's up, football fans? It's me, the big man on campus, back with you here for a little afternoon update. Week 3 in college football. Big night slate. Lot going on today in the world of sports, but football is center stage. Drew Martin. Drew here with me from an undisclosed location. Where are we at, Drew? What state are you in right now?
I'm in a little place called Melbourne, Florida.
Nice.
Yeah, I love this area. It's on the Space Coast of Florida. Just it's actually where my parents live, and really just hunkering down, watching college football. What about you? Where are you at, big man?
I'm in a little place called Lancaster, Pennsylvania, outside of the Philadelphia area. I'm over here. Drew, we had this idea. I had this idea to kind of get a little bridge to the night games here. And then I thought to myself, well, I just ordered food, so I have to kind of worry about that. I don't want someone knocking on my door. But, Drew, I'd much rather be in Melbourne, Florida than where I'm at now. Looks like a nice little town in southeast Florida. Looks nice. Should be I'm sure it's a very nice place. But, Drew, let's get into a little college football. We're doing a little update show here, kind of just getting people prepared for the night games. Drew, I don't know about you, but I get a lot of people in my DM asking me about games. And as you know, there are so many games on the card. It's hard to hit them all. I'll ask you first, have you had any games so far today, and what's been going on?
Yeah, I didn't have many bets today. I had the UAB Coastal Carolina over 51.5. Barely got there.
Backdoor, nice.
What's that?
Little backdoor, nice. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it was heavy movement towards the under. I bought at a good time, which is kind of a reminder. Get good numbers, because it wasn't necessarily the right side when grading out that play. Both offenses did move up and down the field, but as far as it was definitely an over game, no, I don't think so. You could have tossed it up. So that was one game I watched intently. I thought UAB, the Blazers, looked really good. And other than that, no, I'm on the Kent State Marshall under. Also was had small bets involved in the Duke Baylor game, which I know you were on.
Yeah, that's all about. I mean, you talk about numbers, Drew. I mean, if you bet Baylor this morning, I think you should go find a new hobby, because you can't be betting numbers like that and be so far off. I know Peter and I talked about that today on the show, and at that time, Drew was 11.5, and I told him, look, I'm not interested in that number. I won 14.5. It was critical to get that number, and if you didn't, you should have just passed. You should not be betting Baylor right now, anything below key numbers. Just not really something. And we capped the game, Drew. I remember you and I talking about that on the Bet Buffet. 14.5 was a good number. 11 or 12 is not. But yeah, I'm having a pretty good day so far. I had Oklahoma State, which was a play that I made back on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, and I thought I was getting a great line at 13. I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm getting this line. And then I find out yesterday that sharps don't like Oklahoma State. They've been betting against them all year. They bet against them last night and today. And again, Oklahoma State's defying logic. This is a very good football team. We'll see how good they are once they get into the Big 12. But I also had over Ohio, Kansas. That came in. I had Air Force. That came in. I did lose on Connecticut under. I had some other personal plays as well. I have a play just starting right now. But, Drew, let's get into some of the games tonight here. Purdue looking good as well. I have them right now on the money line and on the line. So hopefully they kind of keep it going here. Drew, let's take a good look at some of these games. Before we get into some of the questions, and I'll kind of jump into one that I like. Do you have any that you're looking at that you want to jump into quickly here coming up at 6 o'clock?
But I actually wanted to ask you about that UConn-Virginia game.
Yeah.
I listening to you break that game down. I thought you were right on it, and it started off slow. It's not a game that I watched intently, so I was interested in your take on that as far as betting each team going forward.
Yeah, it was kind of a shit show because it was really a low-scoring game. But Connecticut did what I thought they'd do. Very limited. Didn't do a good job of really doing anything with the football. But, Drew, when you get I think we had a big play in that game kind of late. I believe it was a punt return. And going forward, I think something I learned is this UConn team is not very good on the defensive side of the football. They give up over 600 yards. just really aren't very good. This is not Bob Diaco's defense anymore. I think going forward, they're a fade candidate for me. They're a team that I'm going to look to fade plenty this year, because one thing I think you could depend on with UConn is that at least give you something defensively, but this year they're not doing that. And you look at some of the big things. I mean, there was a 73-yard pass in this game and a 60-yard pass in this game. So, look, you cut those two out and this under comes in. It's kind of sucks. UConn scored with 2 minutes left, so kind of a bad beat, I guess you could say. But I do know this, Drew. Going forward, UConn's going to be on the fade list, especially in the American Athletic Conference.
Hey, what about breaking down their quarterback play with the new OC? I know they were going with the kid that could run a little bit better.
Ryan Sheriffs, yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, Virginia's not the best defense in the world, and they should be able to move the ball this year. I think they're a pretty good over candidate as well. I mean, I think their totals might be a little low just due to their past performances, but the truth of the matter is they do have a dual-threat quarterback. They have some decent skill position players. They can move the ball. I mean, Sheriff's had 227 yards and 2 touchdowns, but overall, for me, it's more or less the defensive problems that they have. They're going to be a good over and fade team all year, but I don't mind Sheriffs. He can move the ball at least.
Okay.
I'm actually on Tennessee as well as we speak, and that's obviously, Drew, you heard me before we got in the air here. I thought the door was shut, and I was going a little crazy, but I have Tennessee right now, and they're doing everything in their power to screw this game up. So we'll see how it goes. But I do want to mention a game that starts at 6 that I'm keying in on, and I want to shout out our friend Peter Loshak, who kind of turned me on to this game. And I kind of had a feeling I liked the dog here. I know Ian Cameron mentioned he liked Tulane in this game, but kind of as the game and the game gets closer here, I kind of like the over more and more at 53. I don't think Oklahoma is going to have a lot of trouble scoring the football tonight. I think Tulane could put up 17 to 24 points in this game. I do think that late in the game, as we saw with Pittsburgh and that one, they're going to get some garbage touchdowns. I think 53 is a little too low here, Drew. I mean, Oklahoma could do that themselves, couldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not betting the under BMOC. I already bet Tulane, got them pretty much plus 34.5, and that's the way I'm betting it. I don't have a play on the total, but gun to head, I would go over. I wouldn't bet this under. The thing that does scare me is the letdown spot for Oklahoma. I think it will affect them as far as assignment defense going against Tulane's offense. But it also could hurt them on the offensive end. Maybe a slow start coming off the gate, after that big win. I could see that happen as well, especially because Tulane's defense, they got some big boys up front. I don't think Oklahoma's going to be able to push them around. Now, they'll be able to hit some big plays, but I think that might come a little later in the game. That's how I would break down the total.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I think if you're Oklahoma, I mean, off a big win, you're up in this game, and that's why I think the back door will be open, or at any rate, you get a nice shot at a cover here. This is a tough offense to prepare for. It's not like they're coming in here facing a team that just runs a regular offense. Vitalis, good job on BMOC UCLA over. Thanks, Vitalis. Yeah, that was one that had me guessing, Drew. I'm not sure why people were racking their brain over picking a side in that game. Why not just take the over? I mean, both those teams don't play defense at all. Bobcats, Ohio, get the money. Yeah, they did. Good call there. Over looked good to me. I grabbed that one. But, yeah, I think overall I'm kind of looking over in this football game. Drew, I got to ask you, big question. Virginia Tech's had a tough start to this game. They're now up 36-17. Do they cover? Eastern Carolina had a nice first half, but starting to get away a little bit from the Pirates here.
Yeah, I mean, what's up with ECU? Where are they coming from, bro? I thought
they're starting to fade here. They're down 19 at this point. But yeah, you know what? They play them tough, don't they? I mean, ECU coming out of nowhere, and they still might cover here. That line had a huge steam coming in on it. I think it ended up closing at like 27, which I thought it got a little ridiculous, to be honest. But it ended up closing at 26. So opens 20, closes 26. Shout out to anyone who got 20, 21. Great job. Let's go through the rest of the card. Let's go through a couple questions here. What the hell is this barn burner? Tennessee and Florida, almost falling asleep. Yeah, it's a tough one to watch, isn't it?
That's the SEC for you sometimes,
Yeah. I'm hoping Tennessee could just keep it close. All I'm asking. You said you have Kent State Marshall. That's a good one. What'd you say you had in that game?
Yeah, I have Marshall minus 14.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Kent State's lost. I actually like Marshall. I said that to you. I like this team this year. I think they're kind of got a little bit to prove coming into the year and so on. This one's down in your neck of the woods, Drew. You like this conference. 175, 176. I was considering laying it with App State here in this spot, but it is a road game. Texas State is dreadful, as we've talked about. I want to lay this, but I don't know what's keeping me off it. Maybe it's that hook on 21. I don't know. It shouldn't have a problem covering, should it?
No. I'm actually on App State. I bet them at 24. I also bet them at 22. I feel like I'm going to have to bet them again just out of principle. But big man, one thing I've noticed with Sunbelt teams having to travel like 1,000 miles or more. I don't know for sure, but I think that there's some kind of like statistician bettors out there that the sports books are at least kind of respecting as fading that. Whenever you're laying a big number with a Sunbelt team and they have to travel a long distance, I've noticed this year after year, and they always get faded pretty much without a doubt. So I think that's what's happening here. I mean, I doubt it's people actually thinking Texas State is talent wise within 20 points of App State, because I definitely wouldn't think that. Would you, big man?
No, I'm not running to the window to bet Texas State here. I think it was all about the number here. Maybe they bet this above that 21 point number, but App State's just a team that just will pile it on. I feel like. I guess maybe they like the quarterback Damian Williams for Texas State. Maybe they could see a backdoor opportunity. But look, is it the best place to lay 3 touchdowns? I don't think, but I don't really see a reason it doesn't come in. They should win, 38-10 or something. I don't think we see a big concern here in this game. A couple of Twitter comments. Do you guys ever enjoy the games, overtime with you guys? Yeah, good point. Not really. I'm always looking ahead, Drew Martin. I'm always looking at the next opportunity to make money. That's what you have to do. Ed Fang, do Drew and Jeff ever rest? No, Ed. No, it's tough. Tough business. Not a lot of sleep I have, Drew. I know. I don't know about you, but I find myself going to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning and then waking up at 10. There's not a lot of rest time here.
No. Hey, big man. Let me throw in one more thing about that App State game. Scott Scatterfield has this team where I've noticed over the last couple years they don't really have letdown games. When they
That's
play,
a good point. Yeah,
when they play teams that aren't as talented, they fucking hammer them. Now they'll lose to the Arkansas States and to the SEC teams, but going against lesser talented teams, they rarely don't show up. Also, we got a couple questions in the box. Your boy Kyle asking if you like the Ole Miss Cal over.
No, I don't. I actually like Ole Miss in that game. I have a weird feeling that game's going to stay under. I don't know why. I think Cal's kind of in a little bit of an identity crisis right now. What are they running? Are they throwing the football? They've been an air raid offense over the years. That was with Davis Webb and with Goff and back with Aaron Rodgers. But this team is concerning because they don't have a quarterback that I really trust throwing the football, even against Ole Miss, and their best running back's out. So for me, I'm looking Ole Miss in that game. I've said that all week. I love Shea Patterson. For right now, I'm going to ride the train with the Rebels. I'm not interested in the total. Not saying it won't hit, but there's an identity crisis right now at Cal offensively, and I don't want to really get involved with it. Tennessee just continues to screw around, man. This is ridiculous. I mean, they had about the 1 yard line, 1st and goal. Somehow don't get any points out of it. Christ almighty. Remember when BMOC, you said if anything, you'll take Delaware State plus 62.5. Yeah, look, those games are toss-ups. You never know if they're going to finish or not. Big man, talk Commodores. Vandy, Kansas State is next. 191, 192. I like Vandy at home, Drew. I got to be honest. I think Kansas State is a team I'm looking at back on the road, but I'm not in love with their quarterback play. I don't really ever like their quarterback play. Ertz and whoever, decent players, but I just like them at home on like a Friday night or Thursday night. Other than that, they don't do too much for me. I think Vandy's an up-and-coming team, a great defense, a good running back in Ralph Webb, a quarterback in Sherman that's really starting to play pretty well, quarterback, good bloodlines there and been around football his whole life, and they're well coached. Give me the SEC underdog at home, Drew. I kind of like the spot for the Commodores here.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. I lost on Kansas State last week. I actually took Charlotte, lost in that runaway train. So I kind of pumped the brakes on actually betting this game. But in the Will Hill contest, I did take Vandy plus 4.5, I believe. I believe they were giving out the hook on that. So I got the SEC team at home. I think we get the great defense plus the points. I love it. So yeah, that's the side I'm on too.
Yeah, good to hear. Someone's asking, I hope they don't mercy rule this Rutgers game. Well, I mean, I don't think they will. I mean, Rutgers will pull their starters. You need Rutgers to score another touchdown. I mean, because at 41, actually you probably almost need them to get into the 50s here. Morgan State probably won't score. I mean, that's Morgan State's dreadful. I actually have bet against them before, if you can believe that. But let's go through a couple other ones. Feel free to send in any games. We'll stay on here for another 10 minutes or so. I don't want to stay on too long here. I took Mississippi State +7, says Naeem 25. Yeah, I think they're kind of a sleeper this year. Could be a little sleeper. I like Nick Fitzgerald. Dan Mullen, always a good coach, but I don't know. I don't know about LSU. I love them defensively always, but I mean, I like Orgeron. Seems like a nice, ornery guy, Ed Orgeron, but is he ready to fully coach an SEC football team? Is Danny Etling, the Purdue reject, ready to handle this offense? You have anything on this game, Drew? It's kind of a pass for me.
Yeah, watching this Tennessee Florida game, I just kind of see a reincarnation of that tonight and start.
Okay.
I just see these SEC West teams, the more talented team traveling to, this is going to be the best night in Starkville, maybe all season. It's just going to be a punt fest. That's what I see anyway. I haven't bet it yet, but if I was, I'd take under 54.
Yeah, you actually kind of open my eyes a little bit to that. I hate unders for the most part, but and by the way, I mean, let's pump the brakes a little bit. ECU is not really keeping it close anymore. I mean, they're kind of getting blown out at this point, but hey, there's a lot of time in that game. We'll see how it goes. OSU up 17-7 on Army. Army, the cadets keeping it, or the midshipmen keeping it close there. Is that surprising to you, Drew?
You're the one that turned me on to these military schools. So I haven't bet against them since last year, and when I took it on the face there.
Yeah, I'm not ever looking to bet against a military school. They're hanging tough here, only down 10 with 3 to go. One thing you're going to get out of military school, they're not going to quit. They're hard-nosed kids. It's hard to lay 30 points with anyone, let alone against the military school. I do have Washington State in my pocket right now. I don't like to point out the bets that I currently have, but I will point that out. I do have them. They're moving the football. Touchdown, Wazoo. 7-0, baby. Good shit. Little 21-yard touchdown. I do have them in my pocket here. So looking forward to that, seeing how it goes. Let's go through one or two more. What do you say, Drew? What are you having for dinner tonight? Anything?
Yeah, I'm actually here at my parents' house. I think my mom's cooking some chicken, so I'm kind of excited to have a little home cooked meal.
A little home cooked meal action, like that. Very good.
Hey, what about you? What did you order?
I ordered. I got chicken parmesan, a little ravioli. I got a restaurant near my house, a great Italian food. So I order from there quite frequently. What do we got here? Georgia easy. Yeah, I mean they're playing Samford. I mean that's not that big a deal. Shouldn't be cheering about Georgia today.
Hey, DJ1 Mike, he's been throwing a lot out there. He's saying Mississippi State is the better quarterback. They could actually pull it out. Also, Sal asking about the over 48.5 in the Stanford SDSU game tonight. I haven't bet that total, Sal, but I will say, man, you got to be looking for this clock to be running, man. Both teams are going to be running the clock, so I don't know. I'm not betting the over in that one.
I will say this to Sal Polito. I was not impressed last week with Stanford secondary wise. They had a lot of trouble, and Rashad Penny is a great running back. I almost kind of like the over, Nick. I kind of lean with him there. I think we'll see some touchdowns in this game. I don't think these are your typical San Diego State and Stanford defenses. They're decent, but I kind of would lean over. DJ1 Mike likes Penn State. I can't disagree with you there. They should crush Georgia State. The Panthers, Drew, as we've talked about, aren't very good. You got to go up to Happy Valley. With the way their offense is playing, it's hard to fade Penn State right now, even laying 37. One or two more, and I do mean that. One or two more. Drew, you want to pick one, and I'll pick one.
All right, Kyle's saying we didn't go watch that game. Yeah, man, that wasn't a good one. And also want to throw out 183, 184, Southern Miss, UL Monroe. What are you thinking in this one, big man? It's back up to 7. I don't know if you've been watching this movement. It got all the way down to, I believe, 4 earlier today. I think that was a little low, but ULM at home against Southern Mississippi. A lot of freshmen on that Southern Mississippi school, and I don't think they're the same Southern Miss as years past, man. Are you thinking this number is a little short or a little?
You know how I feel about UL Monroe. I don't think they're very good either. Gun to my head, I would take the Eagles here. I think they're much better skill position wise. They do have a capable running game.
Okay.
Anything under 7, I would lean with Southern Miss. But you're right; they're not the same team. They have a quarterback problem there, and it's a shame because last couple of years they've had pretty decent quarterbacks. But yeah, I kind of would lean Southern Miss in that game.
And when you say UL Monroe isn't that good, what about going back to the Memphis game? Do you just blame that on the weather, or do you think that there was actually something to ULM making it a somewhat competitive game?
No, I blame that a lot on the weather. I mean, I think if they were on the field today that UCLA and Memphis played on, I feel like Memphis would have crushed them.
Okay.
I throw it a lot with weather. I mean, it's not so much rain, which is concerning, but it's wind, and they had both in that game. I have a feeling this game, Southern Miss, is like 31-17. I don't think it'll be a runaway for the Golden Eagles, but I just think they're a more talented team. But it is in Monroe, so who knows? Good ESPN3 game if you like ESPN3. How much do you think Canelo and G will make off this fight? I'm not sure. I'm not a financial guy. I'm just ready to hopefully get a win here. I have a big bet on Canelo Alvarez, so we'll see how it goes. I'll do one for me here. Drew Martin. I'll go with. Let's talk about. Do you have any thoughts on Texas USC at this point? Up to 17 at a lot of shops.
Man, I don't know. I wanted USC, but just I looking at Todd Herman, and when he gets this offense going, I think they'll be able to score. So I don't have a bet, but big man, I want to come back at you. The 7 o'clock slate has a lot of FCS in it, man. Give me. But what about Buffalo? This thing opened up 12 or 13, and now it's all the way up to 21. What's up with this one?
Well, Colgate's a pretty good team. I mean, don't sleep on Colgate up there in New York, out of the what conference are they in? The Patriot League, I believe, in football. They are in basketball as well. Don't sleep on Colgate. Actually, they're not a bad football team. They're ranked top 25 if I'm correct. They're a team that I think play pretty well in this game. I think it might be too many points. I don't really trust Buffalo against anyone except for Army. They always seem to beat Army. One I am looking at is Alabama A&M, South Alabama, under 51. I don't think South Alabama is a team that's going to be scoring 40, 50 points. And to cover that total, they may have to. I don't know that Alabama A&M could score. They're a team that out of the SWAC is arguably the worst D1 conference as far as sports in the country. They're regrettably bad in every competition, whether it's football or basketball. They're just not up to the level. I mean, when you get the likes of Grambling and those, they're just not any good. I kind of lean under. South Alabama has a backup quarterback in. He didn't play well last week. They couldn't move the ball at all against Oak State. Should they be able to move the ball tonight? Yeah, but I get a weird feeling this is like 37-7 or something. But it's the last week of Patsy's, so I'm kind of just taking that by I will say this, Drew. What about Florida Atlantic? I mean, I could see that one coming in. That offense is pretty good. If they could just get a couple stops against Bethune-Cookman, they should be able to cover that number. Finally get a win.
You also got to think about, has FAU been practicing as much as you would like to see? You know, high school football here was pretty much all canceled last night.
Yeah, it was canceled. I saw it. They were all at the South Florida game. I want to actually use for the teams in Florida that are playing, like Florida Atlantic, South Florida. I don't know. I actually looked into South Florida's practice schedule yesterday, and I saw some really good things. The concern you have with Florida Atlantic is we know as a football team, they do have people on that team that don't think correctly a lot of the time. They do things that you wouldn't normally do on any other team. There's some guys with not as sharp minds, let's say. They make mistakes and do things they shouldn't. I don't know. I just don't feel Lane Kiffin has a lot of control with that team, honestly. But, they should be able to beat Bethune-Cookman with no practice, I think. But, Drew, any other games you're kind of having your eye on?
Let's see. Rice Houston, I think, is interesting. I think Houston, minus the 22 might be the way I'm looking, but is their conscience out kind of thing? The whole Houston thing, don't want to run it up on them. And then, we talked about Vandy, love Vandy. Other than that, nah, man, I think we're good. We hit on a lot. Tulane plus the points.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you talk about that Houston game. The spread's not ridiculously high, though, so I think Houston pounds Rice after last week. Didn't have a great offensive performance. I think they get it turned around tonight. Shout out Mick Aussie. Mick Aussie's in here. Mick was on the show last night with Gabe Morency. Shout out Mick Aussie, an Aussie guy. Drew Martin, good guy. Shout out Mick Aussie. Drew, we'll wrap it up here. It should be a great night of football. I'm looking forward to it. I have a couple plays on the board. We got a big fight tonight, a lot going on. So stick with SBR for all your odds needs. Head over to SBRodds.com. A lot of great articles also on the homepage, SBRpicks.com. Give those guys some love as well. Do a great job over there putting out written articles. And don't forget tomorrow, Donnie Rightside and Gabe Morency start you out tomorrow at 12 o'clock with their NFL rundown. They'll also be on at halftime during the 1 o'clock games. We'll be on, Donnie and I, late at night with a little closing line, getting you ready for the Sunday night game. And then we'll be on live during the game. No rest for the weary here at SBRforum.com. Drew, anything you want to leave the listeners with before we head off tonight?
I'm good, big man. This was fun. Got to do it again. And, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, have a great night, everyone, and good luck. Enjoy the fight and the games tonight.